Welcome to Third Floor Views, a production of Chesapeake Family Life, where we talk about health, education, and living with kids. I'm your host, Janet Jefferson. Today, we are discussing local produce and the women who grow and sell it. Here with us today is Bridget Jones of Wildberry Farm and Market and Abby Diehl of Diehl's Produce of Annapolis. Thank you, both of you, for being here with me today. To our viewers, thank you for listening and watching, but also remember that you can ask questions or put comments in the comment section. So please feel free to do that and we will address those as they come up. So let's dive in. I'm really excited to have both of you here today. I love farmers markets. I love the local growing scene and I want to learn more about it. So first, let's just jump in and have both of you talk a little bit about yourself and your business and sort of how you got to where you are. Bridget, let's start with you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bridget Jones. I own Wildberry Farm and Market in Crownsville, Maryland. We are fourth generation on our farm. Our farm used to be a large tobacco farm, and it has dwindled down from about 300 acres to 80 acres, what is now the farm. We recently switched our produce from crops such as soybeans and corn to flowers and of course, produce. We have seasonal farmers market during the season, and then we also host various other events, farm events, a vendor market the second Saturday of every month. I live here on the farm with my husband and his extended family. There's about 4 houses of extended family on the farm. So all my nieces live here. It's really great. And we have 2 children ourselves. We have 14 chickens and our dog.
I love it. I love talking about the family and you know, you got to include all of the furried and feathered ones as well,
Of course.
because they require just as much care.
Oh yeah.
Abby, how about you? Tell us just a little bit about Diehl's Produce.
So my name's Abby Diehl. I grew up in Smyrna Park, Maryland, and my father has run the Diehl's Produce in Smyrna Park for almost 50 years now. I branched off about 10 years ago to open the Annapolis location, and I'm loving every minute of it. Keeps me very busy, but we're open from April till December, selling all of the kind of flowers and plants that you put in your garden, hanging baskets during the spring, fresh local produce from all the surrounding farms of Maryland and Pennsylvania. During the summertime, sweet corn and peaches and tomatoes, and then we go to pumpkins for Halloween, and then Christmas trees during the Christmas season, wreaths and roping and apple cider and things like that. So it's been in my family. My whole family works in the business. My sister runs the Smyrna Park location, as my dad is semi-retired but still involved, which is great for him. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and this year more than ever is very needed. So it's good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It sounds like for both of you, this is absolutely a family business, and there's a lot of people involved. Can you talk just a little bit about what it takes to grow and sell produce in the area? Abigail, let's start with you. So what's the process of getting food to the market?
So again, this year's actually been different than every other year. However, our normal process, we are kind of the middleman. We have farmers all over, that generational farmers, such as Bridget herself, that we have worked with all over Maryland and Pennsylvania. Clayton Farms is a big one that we work with over in Denton, Maryland. Deep Run Farms over in Carroll County. Richardson Farms up in White Marsh. I've got like a melon guy over on the Eastern Shore, but we have, my dad's done it for so long that he kind of figures out who has the best of everything. And you'll learn that tree fruit grows better in the mountainous regions. So in Pennsylvania and Westminster, Maryland, that's where you want to get your apples and your peaches, because it just grows better in the altitude compared to on the Eastern Shore, which is very flat, where you're going to have your corn and tomatoes and vine fruit, and that's kind of thrive over there. So having a lot of knowledge about what, you know, the better quality of things and where they're coming from. We're able to, we've got truck drivers going every single day to go get produce picked. We've got corn coming every single day, getting picked that morning. So, you know, it's as fresh as possible. And it's really, the difference is about getting things that are ripened on the vine, or tree ripened, or actually, you know, grown to be ripe, compared to picked green to save the shelf life, which is when you're going to ship it somewhere across country and things like that. So having this local fresh produce from farmers all around here, the quality's better, the price is better, and you're supporting local families and farmers that we need very much. So now Bridget can talk about how she actually grows it.
Take it away, Bridget.
Okay, so when the farm, the last person to classically farm our fields was Matt's grandfather. He passed away back in the 90s, and a farmer down the road was farming our fields for probably close to 25 to 30 years. And he recently passed. And my husband, who actually has a career in the marine industry doing yacht restoration, and I decided to take over the farm and the farming operations so that we could keep our land agricultural. So aside from the normal planting, harvesting, all that sort of thing, it does take a lot of grit and determination, especially for us. This is more of, I call it our weekend job, but I'm the one doing it during the week with now our kids too, because, you know, we're homeschooling. And it's very rewarding, but it's very hard labor intensive work. You know, we have had some pest problems this year with the amount of development in our area, whereas this used to be entirely farmland on our road. It's a lot of neighborhoods now. So the deer really get pushed to the local farms. They don't really have anywhere to go. So, you know, trying to keep up with I call it diversifying your farm to the 21st century. You really have to think of other ways to create revenue, not just planting and growing, but also farm events, local community, and really showing people not only what it takes to run a farm and grow food and produce and, you know, raise chickens or whatever, you know, your farm may be. It also, like Abigail was saying, is really important for our community. It's better food, it's higher quality, and the prices are better. So if we can really sustain our agriculture here and keep our farm agricultural, that's, at the end of the day, that's my dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I something I immediately noticed with what both of you said is how much both of you are really also ecologists. And so my background is actually as an environmental scientist, and I'm a former classroom teacher and would be teaching ecology to kids. And I hear from both of you, you know, whether that's you, Abigail, talking about like, oh, I noticed that any sort of fruit I really want to be getting from the mountainous regions, or, you know, corn and tomatoes are coming from, you know, flatter areas. You know, and being aware of the role that geology plays into this, or looking at habitat fragmentation and that role that that plays on your farm, Bridget, and how both of you are so connected to the land and the ecosystem. And I think that right now people often forget the role that food plays in the environment and in the ecosystem. So we'll jump into that a little bit down the role or down the conversation about how that works and what your relationship is with the environment. But it's something that immediately that I notice, and I think that's it's really interesting.
I've got a comment on that when we get to it later.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait. So let's also talk about, and both of you mentioned this as well, as the role of not only are you farmers, but really you're also small business owners. And how has it been hard getting support from the community? What does that look like to be a small business owner in this area normally, but then maybe also right now? Bridget, let's start with you.
Okay, so I actually have had a really great experience with our community. The greatest thing about this is that I've met people, especially at our markets, that I never would have met before, that are actually my neighbors, because there's so much space in between the houses here. We have a farm behind us and a farm next to us, and then there's some pretty spread out houses across the road. I hadn't really met our neighbors before, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's just, you know, we're not close, physically close. So I met a lot of really great people. I actually used to do social media and marketing in the Annapolis marine industry prior to, you know, starting the business on the farm. And so as far as like social media and everything, I feel like it's been, I mean, the community is just so welcoming. Our family is really supportive. And, you know, aside from anytime you deal with the public, and I'm sure Abigail can relate to this, you have like really, really great experiences. And then there's every so often just an experience that makes you want to pull your hair out. However, that's just what you're signing up for. And but overall, everyone's just been really, really great. They've been supportive. They love coming up to the farm. I feel like it gives them kind of a sense of peace. I know that it does for me. It's like when you cross the driveway, you're just like, oh, it feels so good to be here. Like it's open land and it's beautiful. And it just, I feel like it's a really needed thing, especially right now, those wide open spaces, and people are craving it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. How about you, Abigail? What's your role been in the community, and how has the community support looked like?
I agree with Bridget 100%. The community has been incredible. The city of Annapolis can be very difficult to work with in any kind of relation of business, and any kind of, I guess, permitting and processing that you need to do in the city of Annapolis is usually a nightmare. I will admit that the city was beyond supportive of us in our project that we wanted to do. We did have one person who is a lawyer, and they care about legality more than anything else. So they were kind of fighting when we were first originally trying to set up our produce stand in Eastport in our location. It wasn't like technically the right zone to do an open air market like that. And we were going for a special exception to be able to get it done. And there's, one person I think in the whole city and community that was not on board. And besides that, the rest of the community, including the city, really supported us, which was insane to me. And it was really amazing to see. But it's when your community wants something and then you try and tell them that they can't have it, you'll see what happens. So it was really great. They stood up and got very loud saying that they wanted us to be there. So they really fought for us to be able to really open up in the first place. So that was incredible. And we've had continued support since then. Now, social media, in my opinion, is another thing that is amazing in so many levels. I use it to market and advertise and post pictures of what we have available and things like that. But then you can have your one bad apple that wants to post something, negative about your business. And that can really be scary because, as much support as you have, one bad comment can go viral, and that's scary, and whether it's true or not. Right. But I have been very fortunate that anytime we, think that we have something negative, maybe, which isn't often at all, but once in a while something happens, the amount of support that we get actually that backs it up is really incredible too. So I've overall been, very supported and a great experience on all levels. So fortunate here.
So is that most of your promotion and marketing, is that through social media and then also word of mouth?
Yeah, exactly. We've never really paid for advertising or done anything like that. I've learned in different industries how much advertising and marketing does matter. But I've been really fortunate with our produce market that it's all been all word of mouth. My dad's built such an amazing reputation from the Serena Park location that we didn't need to do a lot of advertising. And I'm sure that we could build more and do more, and we want to, and we're trying to grow as much as possible. But I also love the family feel, and growing too big is hard because I'm a control freak, and not being able to control everything is difficult for me.
How about you, Bridget? Do you feel the same way in terms of social media and the community is your biggest way to market yourself?
Yeah. Like Abigail, I haven't really paid for for marketing. I've done all of my Instagram, Facebook, everything's been very organic. I do post to Chesapeake Family Magazine for events. I post to the Gazette and all the local patches. So like when we are having, back to school photos or our seasonal market, I will list those in those event sections, which does take added time. But having had a career prior to this, doing that, I kind of have a streamlined, process that I go through. So once a week, I do sit down and just go through everything that I need to do, plan everything out. And it kind of frees me up to be able to do, all the farming stuff during the week.
Yeah, it's so there's so many prongs involved. One minute you're doing marketing, and then the next you're in the field, and then there's just so many aspects of it, of being, I think, a small business owner in particular, that are just so challenging. You have to.
I literally change my outfit probably 3 times a day, depending on if I'm driving a truck to a farm, or if I have to run and get on a Zoom call, or if I have to, be in the office. It's multiple outfits a day.
Yeah, a lot of laundry.
Yes, exactly.
Let's continue along this line of what it's like to be a small business owner, but let's dive into the fact that both of you are women, and you're in this local community as female farmers. What sort of hoops have you had to jump through, or support you've had to find in places that maybe if you were a man, you wouldn't have had to have the same challenges? Bridget, let's start with you.
So I actually haven't really run into this very much. My father-in-law, which had a produce stand back in the late 80s, early 90s, he's been so supportive. I guess I probably get a few funny looks from some of the more old school, like classic farmers, but I kind of hold my own, so it doesn't really bother me. But I feel like I'm taken very seriously. I feel like it's something unique, and maybe Abigail can even relate to this because we are both women, but it's more of a male dominated, profession, I would say. There are times where I do have to be a little more stern or hold my own a little bit more, but the best part about the creative community, which I'm very in touch with in the Annapolis area, is that it's mostly women-owned businesses that come to our vendor markets, and really that's my heart, is supporting them and uplifting the women-owned businesses in the area. So other than, just a few funny glances here and there, I haven't really had much experience. Hopefully Abigail can speak a little bit more into this because it is very near and dear to my heart. But yeah, I haven't really had to, I guess maybe sometimes I'm a little bit, a little bit of a, I don't want to say the word I want to say, but I'm a little bit harder around the edges than maybe most other, kind of need to be when you're running a farm.
Yeah,
very much so. I agree with Bridget, hands down. And I think in this industry, I agree with you that it's very male dominated, but I almost think that as long as you're willing to do the work, they're happy to see women involved. Like if you showed up, to go pick up your produce and didn't want to break your nail and weren't willing to load the truck, then they would be frustrated with you. But if you show up there and are willing to work the pallet jack and throw in and help out, then they actually have a lot of respect for us. It's really exciting to gain that level of respect and have them treat you well, and I do think that sometimes it's a bonus since it's such a male dominated industry. I think that they're happy to see a female once in a while and have they're like, oh, yay, pretty faces here to chat to, once in a while rather than all the guys that they deal with every day, so I think that once in a while it can be a bonus. But it is difficult. And this is where I think I mentioned, I do work in the medical cannabis industry as well. And I think that industry, it would be a definitely different conversation. Let me put it like that. I've found a lot more hardship being a woman in that industry than I have in the Maryland, in the produce industry. So that's a different conversation there. But in the produce industry and the farming industry, again, as long as you're willing to do the work, then I think that it works well.
Yeah, I would agree.
I wonder if part of that might be just because of where we are is sort of in this timeline of that there are more women farmers maybe than there were before, and maybe in the cannabis industry because it's a little bit a younger industry that it's just not there yet. I wonder if we were having the same conversation maybe 10 or 20, even 30 years ago, if it would be the same. And if that's the case, then that's great news because there is progress being made. And the fact that both of you are standing here and saying that you feel pretty confident and feel pretty positive about it is a pretty big deal. So on the other side of that, you're both local business owners. Why is buying local or supporting local so important? I feel like it's has become a bit of a buzzword, but just to sort of inform our listeners and viewers today, what is the power of local? Abigail, let's start with you.
Well, not only the quality is number one, but it's really about the community. And it's about that, but at my produce market, all of the kids that we have working at my produce market are all high school kids that live in the neighborhood or around the area. And it's really, first of all, it's really cool to see these 15 and 16-year-old kids coming in and learning how to work and teaching them this ethic of how to be responsible. And it's really fun to kind of be a mentor to some of these kids around the neighborhood. But it's just supporting the local farms. When you are buying stuff from, I'm not going to name any names and get negative at all, but at the same time, when you're supporting, not worried about where it's coming from, and it's coming from all over the country or Guatemala or Mexico or out of the country especially, a lot of stores will say like, oh, we've got organic red peppers. And when you actually look at the sticker, it's organic from Guatemala. And nothing against Guatemala. I actually love to travel very much. Central America and South America are amazing, and I am down to go everywhere. But when you're saying you're getting an organic red pepper and it's coming from out of the country, I'm curious about the standards for that and how that's really measured, engaged, and to support your local farmers. First of all, you know what you're getting, and especially in these times, the amount of minimal contact coming onto that produce and that food that you're eating, and it's just really supporting the community around you. Mm-hmm. And again, the agriculture as well, and the land. Oh, this is what I want to say real quick about that. So Christmas trees, there's the whole trend of everyone going into the buying fake Christmas trees. And part of it, I think, there's lots of different reasons for it. But, some people think like, oh, it's, we're cutting down these trees. So we feel better about the environment by buying a plastic tree that we can reuse every year. Well, these tree farmers all over the country are growing these trees for Christmas trees to be cut down. So they actually are planting millions and millions and millions of trees every year for this industry. So when we stop supporting that industry, these tree farms that are planting millions of trees every year have to stop planting millions of trees every year. So we're actually killing our environment, which drives me insane. Sorry. That's just one little thing I had to say about that. And I'll pass it to Bridget.
So I feel like Abigail covered a lot of points that I was going to talk on as well. But, I think that buying local, when somebody buys local from a local business, you are buying a ballet lesson for their daughter. You are buying a soccer season for their son. You are putting food on their table or supporting them in some way. Whereas, like Abigail mentioned, if you are buying from a large corporation, even out of the country, or within the United States, large corporation, you don't necessarily know where that money is going. Mm-hmm. But when you buy local, you know exactly the family that you are supporting. So when you buy, a tomato from us, that's going into our family. It goes from the market to us and our farm. And, we have equipment, we have kids, we have animals, and all those things cost money. So the fact that the farm can be a little bit of a return for us is really ideal for our situation, just because it is such an undertaking to take care of this much land. But also, I've gotten to know so many of our customers, which I'm sure Abigail can also relate to. And the fact that they keep coming and that they keep wanting to support us is just so heartwarming and brings us a lot of joy, because otherwise we wouldn't, like I said before, wouldn't have met these people. And the fact that they can directly be a part of our story, it just really warms my heart.
Yeah. And it sounds like the money is staying in the community, because I love how you talked about by buying a tomato, you're buying your daughter, a ballet lesson. Mm-hmm. So that money is going to you and then to another small business owner who is providing those ballet lessons. So it's really keeping the money local, opposed to what Abigail was saying with, you're buying this pepper from Guatemala, and there's so many steps along the way to get that pepper here from Guatemala. That money is sort of spread out, in this case, really across the world. So keeping that money within the community is really helping the community grow.
And one more thing, sorry, we've been able to also, so we are a cash business, and we do cash and checks, and we haven't started taking credit cards quite yet. We did just launch a website, so we can do credit cards on the online website payment. But for the produce market, it's cash and check. And with COVID going on, and the amount of, trying to stay clean and healthy, we've kind of offered this roundup program. So when you pay with cash, if you would rather donate your change, any change we've been raising money for first responders and needy families and people that are struggling during this time right now. And we've been able to donate thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to the hospital, to the fire department, to lunch, Love and Lunches in Baltimore. My friend Jillian has, she's been providing lunches every Sunday to the homeless out in Baltimore, to Feed Anne Arundel County, like so many different programs that we've been able to support through this produce market. So it's been incredible the amount we've been able to do, and that is because of our community and because of our customers. And we would never have been able to do it without customers supporting us, and then us being able to support the community around us. It's been great.
Absolutely, because you're local and you care about the community supports you, so you support the community. It makes so much sense. And thank you for all that great work.
Just exciting that again, we're able to do it because the community around us.
Absolutely.
And it's been fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. So you were talking about COVID and how some of the things have been changing a little bit because of COVID. Bridget, and you also sort of mentioned earlier that things are looking a little bit different right now. Could you just speak, how has COVID impacted your work this year? How has it looked different? And how are you managing that? So Bridget, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, so one of the things that was a little bit scary is that during the off season, and then it's mostly like spring and fall. We rent out our farm to local photographers, and when we were totally locked down, that income completely stopped, and it was very frustrating, very scary. I know that our photographer friends felt very scared and frustrated too, because it is really a no contact business. You're far away, you're shooting from far away. We are exclusive here, so it's one photographer with their clients at a time. So that was really tough, and just the unknown of not knowing. But on the flip side, my husband was actually on the farm for a few weeks, totally like just here. We got so much done. Like we got fences built. It was just amazing. And I was like, never go back. but yeah, no, I mean, aside from that first, shutdown and not really knowing what to do with the photography thing, once our season started back up around June, things were looking up a little bit more. And because we are considered agricultural, we are essential. So we could still have our market, we could still provide produce we have like a small market stand at the end of the road that's open certain times during the week, and we were able to still operate that. And people still came. It's outdoors. I think that there's like a sense of comfort that we're not an indoor. Abby Diehl also is open air, so with that open air, I feel like people are a little bit more likely to come, get their produce, hang out a little bit, chat, and then go on their way. And also you get to be outside in the sun and have some vitamin D, so
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. We all need a little bit more of that right now. How about you, Abigail? How's COVID impacted your work? It sounds like maybe credit cards are in your future.
Yes, I do believe so. Unfortunately, I tried to fight it as long as I could, but I think we're going to be happening soon. No, like Bridget said, though, it's been very interesting this year. We have been deemed essential, and I think that being an outdoor market is game changing. And I think that's what really has been amazing for us this season, is that people don't want to go inside anywhere. So being able to be outside and shop and get what you need. We've actually even, a friend of mine is bringing seafood up from North Carolina, from the Outer Banks, like those big giant Gulf shrimp, and he's been selling it all around town. And he's like, "Hey, can I come set up at your produce market?" And I was like, "You know what? Yes, absolutely." So we've been doing that every Friday afternoon, and I think that that's even better. Just giving people a place to buy stuff where they don't have to go to the store, can be comfortable, and it's easy for them. And again, we just launched a website that offers local delivery. So for the people that don't want to go out right now, we can just deliver to your home, to make it easier for people. Just trying to do everything that we can to make people feel more comfortable. Stay as safe as possible. It's been a scary time being responsible for so many people, not only your employees, but feeling responsible for your customers, to make sure that everybody is in a safe space right now is very stressful and very, that's my biggest stress right now, is just people's safety. And I want to make sure that everybody's safe, and I feel very responsible for that. So that's been very stressful. But again, the demand for produce this season has been incredible. We've had more support this year than we've ever had. And in the previous years, when people would come in and shop, and they'd always be happy about everything, but you'd always hear comments here or there, like just little complaints about this, or how hot the weather is, or this or that, or just anything. And now anybody that comes through, comes walking in, they're like, "It's so great out here. Thank you so much for being here." It's just a positive tone with almost everybody now. You very rarely have that negative person, and really the only negative comments you ever hear anymore are about the masks, in my opinion, like from customers coming in saying, "Oh, I have to wear a mask here outside too." And I say, "Yes, I appreciate it." And they do. And that's the biggest, negative comment we hear, which everyone understands and puts it on and deals with it. So it's good. But we've been very fortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's good. I think we need that space. We need that space to be able to interact with people in some way. So we talked about it briefly several times, but I want to make sure we explicitly come back to it. Is your role in the environment as a farmer? How do you see yourself in that connection between you and the land, or you and the environment? Abigail, you already talked a little bit briefly about Christmas trees and growing them, and I think that's a really important point to bring up. So how do you see yourself and your connection between being a farmer and working with produce and the environment?
Um, hmm. I am beyond passionate, slightly like crazily. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I love every minute of it. I work way too much every day, pretty much, but I love what I do, so I don't feel like I'm always working. But I think I've always been a big hippie at heart, and you can see I get very emotional when I talk about the Christmas tree situation, because it just drives me insane that people don't understand, and that's all it is. It's lack of knowledge and people not understanding that this is actually something that is good for our environment instead of negative. So just educating people, and I constantly try to do that as much as I possibly can. And I mean, I don't know. Things have changed. This world is crazy right now. The amount that the world has healed itself over the past, 6 months, with things being slowed down, is really amazing to see that we can control things that we're doing to the planet. And I am very lucky and happy that I work in a space that allows me to benefit, like that I get to help people, and that I get to help the environment, and that I get to support all these local farmers. And I feel very like what I do matters a lot. And I'm thankful and appreciative that I have that to focus on.
Definitely. What about you, Bridget? What do you see as that? What is your role as being a farmer, and your relationship with the environment?
I can really relate to a lot of what Abigail was saying. What I like to call us, us on the farm, is that we are stewards of the land. And so our job is to not put any unnecessary strain on the land. We want our fields to be healthy. We don't want runoff from our fields. One of the things that I am kind of passionate about is, and maybe I'm a little bit of a hippie at heart too, Abigail, is the rise of no-till farming. And essentially what you are doing is you are dousing the fields in herbicides, essentially Roundup, and then planting over top of that. And so you're planting an entire field of food in pesticides, herbicides, those types of things. And that just doesn't sit right with me, to be quite honest with you. We tend to be a little bit more old school here. It's harder to grow organic. It is, the weeds are insane, but we are committed to being as healthy and chemical free as possible. If I wouldn't feed it to my kids, I wouldn't feed it to you. So when you are buying from us, you are buying from somebody or a family that's very, very passionate about the food that they are providing you. The produce and the product is literally from our hearts. Like, we are the only person to have touched it, and it is going directly to you. So, like I said, it is harder. It's very, very hard work. I sleep very well at night, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, huge thank you to both of you and all the work that you do, and for taking a little bit of time today to talk to me and our listeners and viewers to learn more about what it takes to get food from the farm to our table, and all of those community and environmental connections in there as well. So thank you again to Bridget Jones and Abigail Diehl for being here. Thank you also to all of our viewers and listeners as well. Make sure that you visit ChesapeakeFamily.com for up-to-date local information on home, health, and living for today's Maryland parent. This episode will be archived on ChesapeakeFamily.com in both video and podcast format. Also, we're launching a new website, so make sure you check that out as well. I'm Janet Jefferson with Chesapeake Family Life and Third Floor Views. Thanks so much.